Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest Wolves Fancast episode. I'm your host, Little Dan. I've got with me on tonight's show Stu and Ali, who were both unfortunately there in Goodison last night to watch Manager of the Month nominee Gary O'Neill's Wolverhampton Wanderers humiliated at the hands of Everton 4-0. It ain't going to be a positive one tonight, guys. I've gave this club, this manager, this coaching staff, this group of players enough back in the last few months, and it's time for a few armed truths. There's going to be a few of us join us throughout the show. Get your messages in the comments section straight away. Let us know where you are mentally. Obviously, Yam Luke, sack the board. Jazzy's still here. Old Joy. Please tell me Stu is on by night. West Ham fan, Craven Moorhead. Be interested to know your thoughts going into the game on Monday for the El Sakiko. Craven Moorhead, please beat us on Monday. So Floppatagi goes. It's a massive game on Monday for both sides. I feel like both fan bases have had enough of their respective managers now, and yeah, it's just so frustrating because both clubs, if they will run properly, could be so successful in English football with the fan base that they've got, but ownership's bad recruitment, wherever you want to lay your hat, it's disastrous both ends. I'll come to you first, Ali. Nearly 24 hours since that humiliation. Where are you mentally with Wolves and Gary O'Neill?
Not in a good place. Probably where I was last night. It almost begged belief how bad it was. So I think the away end was almost like can't get any worse. Started to reminisce about the times that were better. Make ourselves feel a bit better. But yeah, where I am with Gary O'Neill and the club is saying probably as I've been after every defeat that it's time for him to go. I thought it'd be by earlier today. I thought something would happen. Didn't realise there was a press conference lined up that he had to attend, but which was well arranged. But yeah, no, I'm on the gonometer. I'm pretty been there for a while, but. Yeah, he's just a dead man walking now, isn't he?
Yeah, it's frustrating because we did overachieve last season, but since that Coventry game, we've just fell off a cliff. Players wise, void of confidence. Obviously, losing Pedro Neto and Max Kilman has gone against him, but the recruitment hasn't been great. I thought Jorgen Strand-Larsen probably could have had a hat trick last night, and it might have been a different story. And that was opening 10 minutes, Stu, if we would have managed to get in front because we started pretty lively. But I said in our WhatsApp group last night, I'm 5'3", and I'm not letting that free kick go in because I know how to set up a wall like an adult.
Yeah, it's almost a where do you start because every kind of joke in the book you can throw at last night, and I mean the gallows humor was spot on, and fair play to all the fact that we sold out again in the situation that we're in, and the fact that so many people turned up as well. I mean, you don't need to turn up to get your points and whatever. Everyone knows that, but the fact that there was the odd seat here and there, and Ali said there was a few empty seats by him in the lower, but there was a smattering of empty seats. People turned out for that shit show last night, and I mean, from a personal point of view, I had to watch the game completely sober. Because I was on antibiotics because my tooth fell out, which was always enjoyable. So I had a couple of points of this excellent Guinness Zero, which is, if you start off on it, it's all right. So yeah, apologies to my great friend Jolene, who had to suffer me in the pub being sober, which is a devastating thought. But it was almost even more laughable that I had to watch it. And there was no kind of blinkers there. I mean, I don't like the guy anyway. I haven't liked the guy for an entire year. When we put the gonometer up last year and we got bollocks for it everywhere, there was reasons for that, and he kind of fluked his way out of it, and he went on a decent run, and then it fell apart. Exactly after Fulham, we said it on here, and we said it after Fulham that if you look at the actual stats, and yeah, we played well in it. We controlled midfield for the first time this season, and that's all we did. We didn't really we scored 4 out of 5 chances. And so creating a few chances and missing them is not really a big thing because we've done it all season long, despite how many goals we've scored. But we've had periods like that in games anyway, haven't we? We've had like 10, 15 minutes here and there, which Gully thinks is the best thing in the world. And now even he's turned. So it was no surprise at all when the first goal flies in and you think, well, okay, early goal. How many is it going to be this week? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 7? It could have been 8. And to concede that many against Everton, which I know I'm not going to go on the whole King D joke today because what's the point? The fact that we were outclassed by Everton, who had our number, despite us being apparently better on paper. It's not even depressing anymore. It's just so predictable. And the fact that he's still here and he's got the audacity to come out in that press conference, we'll get into it anyway. But the press conference today was, I can't believe the gall of the bastard. I can't believe it. That's the one thing I can't believe, that his arrogance and that video. I mean, that's why that video was so steady, because I was sober. So you can thank the bad tuff for that.
Just elaborate a bit more, Stuart, for me there on what you mean by his goal in today's press conference for those who haven't heard or read about it.
He's got no kind of self. I don't think he thinks the sun shines out of his own arse. He thinks, like someone mentioned on Twitter earlier, he thinks he's a 3D chess master, that he's above it all, and that, yeah, we'll find solutions. It's down to me. We all know it's down to you, you stupid cunt. It's your fault. We've conceded 101 goals in 52 games in a year.
I can see Ed pissing himself in the lobby as well.
It's absolutely outrageous. We all know it's his fault, but he'll come out with these mental reasons. I mean, I thoroughly thought we're one step away from blaming the fact that we're wearing black because it blended into the background. And I don't know if it was the same for you, Ali, because at times, over the far side without Nori, in that first half, you couldn't see him.
Yeah, my old man said it, and I just said, I think we're clutching at straws. Yeah, if that's the excuse for us.
Yeah, where's that one comment I just saw in regards to your falling out teeth? Mark Davis says Turkey teeth can recommend a dentist in Turkey for you, Stu, if you're really struggling.
If you want to send us to Turkey, we need to get our hair sorted first, and that's as a group, not just me.
Yeah, that's it. We need Dean to get that full Fancast referral code. We ain't going back to Turkey anytime soon because those Besiktas days are long behind us. Ed, welcome to the show. Obviously, you're a regular member now of the Fancast. Where are you mentally after this morning's throttling?
I've been in a foul mood all morning. It started off with no real difference with my 9-year-old getting ready for school, but I wasn't up for his shit this morning. I couldn't stand it. I was like the Grinch this morning, and I think Stu should be wearing a green jumper because I've never heard the C-bomb drop that quickly on the Wolves Fancast. Yeah, I didn't realise how much it had affected me until it was what about 1 o'clock or whatever it was when it had dawned on me that I'd had to go at him all morning, shouted at everybody, angrily did my work all morning, and I just thought, it's because of what I watched last night, isn't it? And it is. And he was, I'd imagine he was just as grumpy because the poor kid, I've given him many chances to pick Liverpool, go and pick someone else, it doesn't matter, and he won't do it. So yeah, today's been a slog, and it's because of 15 blokes that kicked the football around yesterday. It shouldn't be matter, but why does it matter so much? I don't get it.
Yeah. My late nan said to my dad years ago, if you didn't support Wolves and you didn't enjoy football, you'd be a lot richer and mentally happier. And I think it's a fact. But regardless of whether we're losing 4-0 away to Everton or beating Stevenage on a Friday night in League One, we'll still be following Wolves. That's the be end and all of it. We're too long in the tooth now to do anything different with our hobbies and our spare time. It's so frustrating because how far we've dropped since, was it March? End of March we played Coventry, or was it early April? Either or. David Britton, 52 Premier League goals conceded in 101 goals conceded in 52 Premier League games under Gary O'Neill, followed by David Britton, who says, I reckon Bonnie Blue has had more clean sheets than Gary O'Neill in the last 12 months. Yeah, it's just... How did you feel with that first half went, Ed? Because we've already mentioned how we started off quite lively. Cunha had a drive from outside the box, which Pickford saved well down to his left. Strand Larson had a couple of half chances. We did seem to be the incentive. For me, there was only one team who was going to get that goal, and then an absolute sucker punch of a free kick, which should have been defended, set up correctly in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, I get where Stu's coming from, but I don't think we were masterclass from King D last night. I think we were the masters of our own downfall. We can play nice stuff though, can't we? Look at the team we've got. It makes no sense. They are man for man. They are internationals, should be internationals, or on the cusp of becoming them. And it doesn't make any sense. We played some good interchange play. Strand Larson could have done more with that left-footed shot that was behind him. We didn't need to take it quite so quickly. But he's in a rich vein of form. You know, those half chances could have gone in. You mentioned Cunha's shot that Pickford saved. Maybe he could have laid it one more over to Guedes, who was completely free. You know, these are all just moments. I mean, the cliche is that, you know, you get punished, don't you, in the Premier League? But it felt like yesterday was...
We're self-harming as a team at the moment.
It was just we're not good for ourselves right now. We'd be sectioned if we were in a different...
I'm going to come to you because I know this will have grated you more than most, Stu, but seeing Mario Lemina at right centre-half yesterday, we all discussed the lineup pre-match, and I wrongly questioned Gully on why does he think Mario Lemina is playing right centre-half instead of Totti. But Gary O'Neill, yet again, doesn't know his best formation, doesn't know his best team. I still think he's using Windows Vista on that data on his iPad on the side of the pitch. It's your thoughts on that lineup at whatever half-6 it came out.
I mean, do you think he was applying for the 1,000 men challenge on his iPad yesterday because he wasn't doing anything on the pitch, was he? I kind of put when the lineup come out, it was like, well, this is one of two things. We've either got a midfielder playing in central defence for no reason at all, or we're playing a 3-man midfield, which hasn't worked at any point so far this season. Either way, it's going to be bad. Never in a million years did I think he was going to be playing right centre-back of a back three to start the game. So when they lined up, and I thought, well, none of this makes any sense. Why is he moved Bueno over to a position he's never played before under him? Might add, especially when Aït-Nouri does Aït-Nouri things, and we've got Totti, who the one part of the defence that actually does work properly with them two on that side covering for each other. What had Totti done wrong? If he was injured, then sound, but he wasn't, was he? Because he came on.
He gave away the penalty last game. That's it. One mistake, you're out with him at the minute.
Yeah.
He's got no trust in anyone, has he? I don't think. He's talked about bad recruitment, and it's just one thing after another. But this stems back long before Gary O'Neill. This is going back sort of Bruno Lage end of Nuno's era under Jeff Shea. I don't feel. I'll come to you on this, Ali, for a quick moment. What in Jeff Shea's tenure as chairman can he single-handedly say that I've made this positive decision without sort of a guiding hand by Mendes, good coach under Nuno, corporate advice by Laurie Dalrymple? Give me something.
I'm going to straw. You keep giving me the easy questions, don't you, Dan? I'm going to be clutching at straws here again, I think. I mean, for the last 3 or 4 years, I can't really point to anything. Brick getting Lopetegui in to keep us up initially didn't seem like a bad idea, and it worked. But then we all know what happened there. Again, initially, O'Neill had a good start, but you just knew it just never going to last. Hobbs has initially had some good press, but that has faded as quickly as it came. Yeah, just nothing for. I can't really point to anything, Dan.
Yeah, it's tough. It was a tough question. I'm sorry I had to fry you under the buzz there. But let's give you an easy one. What was your thoughts on Mario Lemina being in a 3-man defence last night? Because we discussed it earlier, didn't we, Stu, that if anything, based on his passing ability, which he's shown for the equaliser at Fulham, you probably would have been better playing Lemina as the sweeper in that back three with Dawson and Breno either side.
I mean, that makes some kind of sense.
It's when you saw the lineup, you didn't assume he was going to be a right centre back in a 3. It looked like a 4 and a 3 in midfield, which hasn't worked all season, but it made more logical sense to do it that way. And then before the game, they were saying it's going to be a back 3 with Lemina right centre back, which Stu said, just made absolutely no sense against Everton as well, who are going to bombard you with set pieces and long balls up that he's just not going to be able to deal with. He's not a centre back, and he's on that side with Doherty as well. They're obviously going to target that as a weak spot. Where you've previously had Totti and Aït-Nouri actually play quite well on the left-hand side together. Bueno being moved out there just didn't make any sense at all. I get why he's finding it hard to drop Lemina. He's his captain. He's been a rod for his own back with that because now he doesn't seem to be able to drop him. He said in one of his conferences today, O'Neill, about how many different combinations he's tried. It was, I've tried this combination, I've tried that combination, as if that was sort of an excuse for it, as opposed to just stop messing around with it. This shows you why it's not working, because you're chopping it every week and changing, and no other team will do that. You do not change your centre backs every single week. It's just, I wouldn't have included him probably either way, but not as a right centre back at the very least. If you're going to play him either in the centre or put him in midfield where he can actually play.
Your thoughts, Ed, based on what you've just heard, and just give us your thoughts, Ed, on where Gary's going wrong with his lineup and his formation setups. And obviously, we're all working with a massive point of hindsight here, but just apart from quitting the game and starting again, what can we do here? Because it just feels that as a club, we may need to get relegated to have a reset, because it might be the thing that initiates Fosun sale of the club, because I feel we've gone as far as we can under Fosun now. Yeah,
we need to go into menu, add new manager, sell Hugo Bueno for about 40, 50 million quid and spend it all on a centre half. The lineup made no sense, did it? And I think there was a perfect gif. I think it was Stu that put it in, of just someone throwing stuff up the wall. And that's what he's doing. And we saw it in the game against Bournemouth when we had no midfield after 60 minutes. And we saw it last night when I felt like Andre and João Gomez were completely left out to dry, because there was no one there for them to they were the outball for the defence, which was under pressure. And then there was no one to pass to, because there was no one there. It wasn't set up correctly. There was no midfield, no shape. Strand Larsen was on his own for a lot of it, because Cunha's trying to do too much. He's trying to be the talisman now, isn't he? And they obviously have not enough direction. And I think Stu said earlier that he's got this air of like he's playing 4D chess and everyone else is playing checkers. Well, maybe that's because the game is checkers and we're making it too complicated right now. What we need to do is strip it back, don't we? We need to have players in the right positions. We can't be forcing Mario Lemina to be of the two places he could have been on a wide centre back or the central centre back sweeper. And in what world is it right to have your midfielder that is dropping back play the more technical role of having to cover a fullback, step into midfield? It doesn't make sense. Where he should have been was utilising his skills, which is reading the game, his passing and breaking forward with the ball when we've got it. Instead, he was given a much more difficult position to play. Same with Santi playing on the left-hand side, having to cover Aït-Nouri, who's pissing me off more than probably every other player there, because I can't stand the way he's meandering around with the ball nowadays. And just
you hate when he rolls the ball over his foot.
There's no need for it. There's no need for it. Not every time. Not every time. There's no need for it right now. We're 19th. Put your foot on the ball and go forward with it. There's no need right now. We do all your mazing around when we're 10th and we're comfortable. But right now, what we need you to be is disciplined and in the right position, and not losing the ball because you've decided that you think 3 step overs is the right way to go right now, because it's not. And we don't have an out ball, because if he goes inside to Andre or João Gomez, Cunha's fucked off because he's trying to do it all by himself. We just don't have a clue right now, and it has to be. Fosun deserve most of the blame, but right now, the only thing we can change is we need to change the manager. We need to change the direction.
Yeah. Luke Price in the comments section did say, in regards to the question about what Jeff Shee's done well, he was sacking Scott Sellers. And for me, that it wasn't a good bit of business by Jeff Shee. That was Jeff Shee putting someone else in front of the bully that he should have taken. We've needed a new person at the helm. coming out with the right things, not like how we did in the summer, talking about, success might, Wolves might not be the team for you if you're looking for success, that sort of thing. How are you supposed to sell a club as a project to anyone, whether it's investors, managers, players, when your chairman's coming out with lines like that? The next generation, on the back of raising season ticket prices to the record high that's been in the club's history. It's mind-boggling. And is it for you, Ali? Do you still think the players are playing for Gary, or are their efforts being questioned at the moment?
Yeah, I thought about this before, that being there, their heads are down, the confidence is gone. But I don't doubt that they are trying, and that they, I've seen Lamina's interview today saying how it's not O'Neill's fault, and they've all gushed over him, they've celebrated with him when they have managed to score. So I don't doubt that they probably are still. They still like the manager and they are trying for him, but I don't really care that that's true. That might be the case, because it doesn't matter. The fact is, whatever he is telling them to do, they can't do it, and it's not all on him. But you could see last night they just looked so lost and had no idea. When we did have the ball, as the lad said, in the first sort of 10 minutes, we had a few good breaks and looked bright, looked nice on the ball. I thought after that, we didn't create anything really, and it's pretty on the eye. We had nowhere to go, and I just think it's been chopped. And we've had a pre-season playing a certain way, and I've gone into the season and it's changed again. It's not surprising they haven't got a clue what they're meant to be doing, whose role is what, and so I think they are trying, but I just don't. I think they're now completely lost in terms of what they're meant to be doing. They probably haven't got a clue what the lineup's going to be any more than we have, or what the formation's going to be. It's changing every week. No one's got a clue what they're meant to be doing. And so I think they probably are still. They're probably still behind him, but we all kind of know where it's going. No matter how hard they keep trying, they're completely lost.
Yeah, I was just going to say that comment from Gully was actually pretty spot on.
That's musings from Molyneux. Gully's dead to me. So I don't think there's not enough direction. If anything, it's too much. And what Ali just said there, I think last night for the first time it kind of seemed that way. Like in RoboCop 2 when they made him all woke, and he got all confused because he had to do a lot of handshaking and stuff, and then he went and electrocuted himself to kind of fry his brain to reset himself. It's a bit like that, where they don't know what they're. People understand. Go and watch RoboCop 2.
No, they won't, Stu. We'll try and think of a better one.
No. RoboCop 2 is a great sequel with different podcast. But the point is, you look at like Ed said there about João Gomez and Andre. They were the only ones yesterday. I mean, Cunha was playing like Harry Kane for England. He was all over the place. He was trying too much because the rest of the Saka, she had no idea what they're supposed to be doing. And I don't think that's their fault. You boil things down to simplicity. It's the whole thing of football's a simple game made complicated by footballers, and you think, well, yeah, okay, in this case, yes, it is. And they've got so many instructions and so many things on his little iPad that why? Just why? None of it works. None of it's worked for the best part of the last 9 months. So why don't you just go back to basics like you did when he came in the first place, played under Lopetegui's formation, Lopetegui's system, which actually worked. And then as soon as he gets his grubby little mitts on things, then it starts going wrong. There's the problem. And you got two international midfielders there for Brazil, not like Krakatoa or some stupid country. The Brazilian internationals who are completely left out to dry. They weren't clueless. They had no options because you had Strand Larsen, where was he supposed to be running? When he went wide, Guedes wasn't going in the middle because why would he? He hasn't started a game for 2 years for us. You've got Cunha, as we said, who's everywhere else because he's took it upon himself to be Mr. Wolves, which is admirable, but to his detriment now as well. There's only one person at fault of this, and I know we can get onto Fosun, which I presume we will later. But anyone with any kind of brain, Mick McCarthy, instead of getting him in the jungle or under the kosh, get him in. It might sound stupid, and the whole King D thing, and get Sam Allardyce in, but these players just need a simple reset. Technically, they're better than half the league, and they are, and I believe that they are. But being asked them to do stupid things and piss about at the back, which again nearly cost us dear again yesterday, they don't need to do this. They don't need to do it. It's a simple game. Just play it simple. But we've got a genius in charge, so that's not going to happen.
You calling for Mick McCarthy is just basically one step away from this.
Frankie.
Yes, Paul.
Mate, I've got 3 points.
Okay. Number one.
Mate, first point,
Got it.
it's got to go. Second point, the board have got to go. Third point, we've been crap all season.
You're literally one step away from that, guys. You're ranting at, you're shouting at clouds, Stu. Gav,
Give it bully till Christmas.
Gav, welcome to tonight's show. Your thoughts
Cheers.
24 hours on from where we are and after Gary O'Neill's press conference earlier on today.
I don't know. Honestly, I'm a bit lost for words at the minute, to be honest.
Broken.
I'm broken. And I'm a hard man to break at the best of times, but he's done me in. Honestly, he's done me in. I think you guys have covered a lot of the points. I mean, just going back to the starting lineup, if you've got Totti on the bench in a back three, that's literally his best position in a back three. You wouldn't trust him in a back two. Back three, fine, no problem. But he still persisted with Lamina for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because it's a ball playing ability. I can only imagine that's what it's come down to at the end of the day. But why he hasn't started Totti over Lamina, that was the biggest thing for me out of everything.
Yeah, we discussed it. It's mind-boggling, Gav, and the fact that he wasn't even like the sweeper in the back three for me is just another massive question mark of what he's thinking, what he's telling the players pre-match. Just trying to go through some of the questions. Gary's a squirrel with a good barber and a tea habit. What do you want? I'm quickly skimming here. My dad and I are Wolves fans. I keep up to date with what's going on. It depresses him every time. It is, like Ed mentioned at the start of the show, it's depressing how much we're letting this club have an impact on our well-being, because the amount of people that not only travelled but spent money travelling to the game last night. Some would have booked off work to go and watch that game last night, and to put in a performance like that. And I just don't know where the improvement's going to come from. Fosun may have given him, I don't know what's a bad poker and a 2 and a jack. I've no idea. But he's been dealt crap cards, but the attempt of what he's trying to do with the cards that he's dealt with is just, it's mind-boggling now. And I mentioned on our Twitter last night that losing Max Kilman doesn't justify the fall off in this team defensively, and he might argue that, but that's my opinion. And
I still think he needed to replace him, though, to be honest, because ultimately Mosquera was still unproven in the Premier League. As good as he has been in La Liga, there was still a question on him. And to be fair, even if we sold Kilman, I think we needed a centre-back anyway, regardless. So even if you sold Kilman, you needed 2, and they've ended up bringing none. So, that was a mistake in its own, you know what I mean, at the end of the day.
Got Sam Johnson there.
That's the thing, though, is with the intended transition to a back four all summer, relying on Mosquera and Totti to be your 2 main centre-backs, because that was the plan, wasn't it? Hence why Dawson wasn't in the starting lineup away to Arsenal first game of the season. I think he had a bit of a rough pre-season with injury and whatnot, but to go into that first transfer window of the season, relying on Mosquera, Totti, Dawson and Santi Breno as your 4 main centre-backs, when you're transitioning to a new system, when arguably only Mosquera is the only one in the 4 that is comfortable in a 2. It's mind-boggling. And then you hear like the comments that Matt Hobbs came out with saying that if Wolves were able to bring in a centre-half this summer, Santi Breno would have gone out on loan.
Well,
this is why, like, I think Matt Hobbs isn't getting enough fire in his direction for the recruitment that's gone on this summer. Jeff Shee may be the one that holds the purse strings, but he's been the one pushing for these transfers, whether it's been Forbes or Andre. Everyone with eyesight and those who listen to Matt Guy's commentary on the audio at Molyneux knew that we needed a centre-half this summer. So to then bring in Andre, Carlos, Forbes is mind-boggling. And the comments that happened in today's press conference what was the comments on Forbes and Pedro Lima being.
They weren't supposed to. They were development players. They weren't.
Pedro Lima was not signed to play Premier League football this season. Rodrigo was signed as a backup to playing parts. Same with Carlos Forbes. The recruitment's it's an atrocity, and I just don't know where we go. Because I talked about it moments ago that I feel we're in a desperate need of a reset as a club now, because the people who are being trusted with the most important decisions are consistently getting them wrong time after time. Whether it's Jeff Sheep pressing the initiate button on signing Fabio Silva for 35 million after being leaned upon by Mendes, we've got too many people in the wrong positions who have been promoted to positions they're not competent enough to have reached yet as an employee of such a big football club as Wolves are. Someone take the mic for me a second, because I'm going to break into tears in a minute, because it's like we're not that.
Go on, Stu.
I was just saying, when you look at the comments here, I mean, and it kind of tallies with everything else. Get Neves back, bring back Roy Bennett. And that's what that last 20 minutes of the game was yesterday. Because
that's where we're going now as a fan base, and it happened away at Fulham when we were winning 4-1 at Fulham, and the chance of how shit must you be, we're winning away. We've reached that level of toxicity now, and I've said it on previous shows now. If we get relegated, we're going to get relegated again, because the toxicity of this fan base won't allow us to build up belief and confidence of going on a 2-3 winning game performance, because everything will be shaded with the toxicity of what's come from a chairman and his comments in the summer.
Yeah, and it's gone from. I mean, I'll put it on Twitter last night that this team is despised, and that's probably a bit harsh, because you look at the ones who I mentioned and the ones who came over, and to be fair, all of them, all the players to a man came over. That not all of them did anything, but they're at least fronted up, unlike that fucking coward. But they all fronted up to it. They all took the abuse like men. Fair play to them. No qualms there. But you look at it, and there you go, another one, Willy Bolly. It's everything from the last 6 years that was good was in that last 15 minutes. And you think, how far we've fallen from Sarui and how great Rui Patricio was. And then you look at Giammattino and all. Even Patrick Catrioli's son got a little airing just for the bands. But because everyone was having a great old time back then you look at it now, Strand Larsen hasn't even got a song, even though he's probably our most consistent players.
I mean, last night they were singing Ebanks Black is Wonders number 9. You've literally got a number 9 out there who's running his socks off, and he still can't get a song for him. And he's like one of the handful of players this season who are giving themselves justice for the recruitment that they've been brought in on the back of. And this is where I said, as a fan base now, it's only going to go one way. It's either going to go toxic or daft, like it did in the last half an hour with Patrick Catrone chance, Cavallero chance. I suppose it'll be Mickey Stolday come out at one point, because that's the vibe that we're going in now. And I'm getting, to quote the Accrington Stanley manager, I'm rapidly falling out of love with football. I wonder what the point is anymore.
And on the Strand Larsen thing, Strand Larsen's got a better T-shirt in our merch store than the attempted chant someone tried to start last night. We can't be stealing songs from other players. Give him his own. He deserves it.
If you really want to stick it to Foes and Wolves fans, buy our merchandise. keep this channel going, because since Rich has left and I've taken over, it's one of the biggest regrets of my life, taking over this channel. I should have just let Rich carry on doing what we was doing, but I thought I could do and push this channel a bit more. And what a season to take over the reins, because it's, as I said, I'm rapidly falling out of love with football. And if it wasn't for the camaraderie of this channel, I wouldn't even be doing it anymore. Hence why Gully is dead to me. He's Sol Campbell. He's an absolute Judas. He knows what he's done. And that's the situation. I'm moving on. I won't have his name mentioned on this channel anymore. It's Musings of Molyneux, or whatever he's called. Let's go back to Liam Keane's pre-match press conference today. Gary O'Neill, when he was questioned upon pressure, I don't think about it personally. For the team, the last 2 games have let us down, but the next challenge comes quickly at West Ham. Will you be on charge on Monday? I can only keep going until it changes. I took training this morning. You won't find someone more professional and hardworking than me. We're getting ready for West Ham. Are you hurting? I'm not on a personal level. I'm more disappointed for the fans. as I know how much it means to them. They give a lot of time and money to support the club. The players definitely have the courage and fight, but we're struggling to keep goals out of the net. We demand better from them, but at some point in the game, the lads have to find a way to deal with it. More on pressure. It's not about me. Wolves need to stay in the Premier League, regardless of whether it's me in charge. That's all that matters. Monday's game will feel huge. On the defence, I'll give everything to make sure we improve. On support from the Wolves fans, I came in at a time and I wasn't the most popular appointment, but the fan base united with the player group, and it will always be one of my fondest memories in football. There were some special moments. In regards to team news, Pablo Sarabia's calf is sore and didn't travel yesterday. We'll see how he goes later on in the week. With a final message to the fans, I appreciate their support and the team needs them, but they also need us. And there's a responsibility on us to perform. Everyone is giving absolutely everything.
No, they're not. They're not. We saw last night they are not.
Lamina's comments. He was actually the captain of the club saying only 3 players had asked.
Yeah.
This is the context of listening to press conferences and reading lines, isn't it? Because I read that there's only 3 or 4 players that are carrying the team and the rest aren't performing. I still don't believe this group of players aren't playing for the manager. They're just void of confidence and the void of any structure.
Yeah.
Those two combinations, that combination of those two things it's a recipe for disaster. And
even his answers don't have structure. None of that had structure, did it?
I mean, I may have read them wrong, Ed, but that's the way Liam Keane wrote them out in his tweets, and I don't think Liam Keane, being the journalist that he is, would have articulated that press conference as bad as it. Go on, Ali.
Well, he came out after the game last night and he said, for the critics, I'll take the plaudits and the cheers, and then I'll take the criticism. I'm not afraid to face it. And it's like, you're on video turning round. It's literally there.
Yeah.
We're 25 yards away from you. We saw what happened. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? We literally watched you not be prepared to take the criticism. The players came over. He made his way. You could see
he even
him.
apologised at Brentford, didn't he?
Yeah, I think I was at Brentford.
Probably. Yeah,
I thought he came over at Brentford and put his hands up to say, sort of sorry guys, that's on me. There was a few people that commented saying that what did the Wolves fans expect after the Wolves fans had berated him all game, calling him a wanker and you're getting sacked in the morning and stuff. But like I said, there still would have been fans in that away end who would have clapped him back if he'd put his hands up and apologised, because regardless of performance or the vibes, that there's fans that will back this team till the hilt. And I feel like the moment he turned his back on that away support last night was him sort of accepting that his job was done. So when it got to 9 a.m. this morning, Ali, and there was no corner flag post, where was you then?
I was just waiting for it. I suspect Gary O'Neill had forgotten he had a press conference at 1 o'clock the next day and didn't realise that actually I've got to face the music again. I thought he'd be gone. And well, let's be honest, the only reason he isn't gone is because they haven't found anyone yet to replace him. So he's not there. He's now just being. It's almost cruel to put him up now and do a press conference and take training and do another game, because it's all come out now that they've been trying to sound out anyone else, but they just can't find anyone. So it's just a case of the next defeat, and when they've actually got someone lined up, they'll get rid of him. But yeah, 9 o'clock this morning on the way into work, it was like, well, it's coming, isn't it, today? It's just a matter of time, because as in the away end last night, it was with a minute, as you exactly said that, the minute he turned his back, it's like, it's done. And he knows it's done. You don't recover from this. It's impossible now. You can't recover from that. The 4 sort of game unbeaten run, it was always on the night. It was always, getting him. There you go. The 4 unbeaten runs that gives him manager of the month. Only we could have a Saka manager up for manager of the month. But it was all, you knew it was sort of on glass, on thin ice. You just sort of, one more defeat and he's in trouble. And it's never just a defeat of 1-0. It's 4-0. It's 4. Just get absolutely twatted whenever we do lose. I couldn't believe
52 goals in 101 games. It's
2.5 a season, 2.5 goals a game this season. So
there will be Sunday League team managers that concede 52 goals in in 101 games that gets
Other way.
sacked from
Other
Sunday
way
league
round.
pubs. I keep getting it wrong. It's just I can't grasp the numbers
The
in
maths
any
don't work, do
in,
they?
in
That's
any
why.
form. Is it
It's
100?
so-
No, it's only 101 goals in 52 games.
Yes, it is. It is.
I'll just.
This is
I
a point.
I
It's
can't
so
do maths anymore with
Six
this
clean
this
sheets
manager.
in what was it? How many games have they had?
52.
6 clean sheets in that time, and we played lower opposition in cups as well. Bearing in mind in that as well, or that just league games. I'm not too sure, but even so, it's it's the stats are the whole 20 games 2 wins thing. I said this in the last podcast. I said one of us 5 here could be in charge for 20 games, and we would win 2 games just by fluke, just by being in the just by being on the touchline. We would just win 2 games, wouldn't we? Just by Cunha masterclass or something like that. So for him to be a manager, a coach, day in, day out, training with these players to only pick up 2 wins in that time was ridiculous. And I mean, he's on about, the defense. I'll be working on it to improve it. Well, what's he been doing for the whole season? Because that's been our problem since day one, and nothing's changed. So what's he magically going to do in this next couple of days, which is going to solve our problems? I can't see it happening.
I think this period now, between now and the end of the season, is Jeff Shee's chairmanship on the line. I feel he's gambled with the security of this club for too many seasons now, and it's finally coming home to roost. This how badly run we've been. We've let too many big players go and not replaced them with anywhere near the level of like for like ability. I mean, we made the comment a few months ago about Carlos Forbes isn't really ready-made for the starting 11, but he was sort of seen as the Pedro Neto replacement.
He should have been. He was meant to be.
Pedro Neto was the wild card that Gary O'Neill had available in his pack of cards last season. And without that sort of player, he hasn't got enough tactics or a team that have got enough know-how in their build-up play to cause teams trouble. It's constant reliance on
individual genius,
individual brilliance.
Yeah.
And this run, it can't. The title of the show is Enough's Enough, because we've tried to back him. We gave him his media stance of we've had tough fixtures, but it's 3 wins in 25 now. I'm still going to have to grasp it. 101 goals in 52 games. I'm sorry. It's untenable.
I think the whole thing with this season was with Fosun and with Gary O'Neill was they expected us to just sleepwalk into 15th and it would be fine because the 3 promoted teams were so shit, were so crap. They were going to be down from like November, and it can be a fallow year, can't it? Where you just throw everything out. You just go, oh well, we had a tough start, but at least we're not in the bottom 3. We're not going to get relegated. But the fact that Ipswich have come out swinging, Leicester have bit the bullet and got rid of someone that didn't fit clearly because they're having parties about the fact that they missed the old manager. Yeah, and Southampton are being Southampton. But I think the whole point was all of this was like to just they had this idea that they could just regroup all year because we were never going to be in trouble in their head. They thought Gary had enough. We've got enough individual players. We can get to 40, 45 points quite comfortably, and everyone's happy because we're nowhere near the bottom. And the fact that we've never got to that point where we can be comfortable, that now we're all in. The panic stations have been hit because all of the crap that we've been talking about, all the mismanagement, is coming home to roost, isn't it? Because we don't have that fallow year. Because you don't have them in the Premier League. It doesn't work that way.
No.
I mean, it's getting to the point. Can we even discuss the fact that he could be the biggest Kaiser Soze in the Premier League history? The fact that he's blagged his way into this job for a year. He saved Bournemouth. And if you take, like Dan said, you take Neto out last season, you take Cunha out this season.
He's the Ali Dyer of managers.
Yeah. His record is worse than any Wolves manager in modern memory. And you look at it, and even Terry Connor, who was almost in tears several times and didn't win a game, even his teams didn't concede as many goals as we have.
No.
And they had actually no money. He's potentially the worst manager we've ever had, ever. And you look at all the ones that we didn't like, and obviously Musings has got his, as he now has to be known, he's got his thing with Lopetegui for whatever reason. McGee was a bit of a bellend.
I still think Dean Saunders would have kept us up if Ebanks Blake hadn't got injured.
Yeah. In Dean Saunders, he was massively out of his depth and he was a bit of a fool. It was his fault he was stupid. But at least he wasn't arrogant like this little prick is. I've never despised a manager as much as I have with Gary O'Neill. I can't, honestly, not even a little bit or anything like that. I despise the man. And I've said this since the Chelsea game on here. I said it, you can see we've all been in this situation. We're all old enough. Well, apart from Gav, amazingly. We're all old enough to see when things turn, they very rarely come back around again. You can see that the writing was on the wall, and we were all told from all the media people, everyone, oh, you can't count last season. It doesn't matter. It's a clean slate. And wait till the hard games are out. But the writing was on the wall. We all knew this was going to happen. Everyone knew it. And we're in the shit. We're 20 days from Christmas, and we've got the worst manager in our history. And he's still fucking here.
I just think it boils down to the financials now. And I mentioned it just that this is Jeff's tenureship on the line these next few months, because I think if we get relegated, Ferguson will have no option but to sack him as chairman. But if somehow it can keep us up without having to throw a war chest at it, he's done well in Ferguson's eyes yet again, as from an investment point of view, that we've spent little to no money and we've managed to stay up in the Premier League, but then the cycle repeats yet and yet again. Let's talk about what Mario Lemina had to say after last night's game. I'm going to ask you this question, Alex. I like throwing you under the bus, but let's get Mario Lemina's statement up on the screen first. We're going to have a meeting on Thursday to talk about this situation, to do much better than that. Everton deserved their win because they were more intense than us. Being a fly on the wall in that meeting room, Ali, where does Mario Lemina start that conversation?
Yeah, let's have a meeting, guys. That's gonna sort it out. Let's have a meeting. I don't know, an idiot's guide about to defend a set piece or something. Let's talk about that. Let's put a video. I had to set up a wall actually because it was Lemina on the end of the wall. So Lemina and Sarr can have a chat about how to talk about where a post is and where you need to stand so that a 39-year-old can't curl it around you. I mean, that would be the first. Maybe that's point A on the agenda. How to set up a wall. Point 2, how to defend a set piece, or any cross, frankly, coming in, and then, well, I mean, any other business at the bottom. And after a couple of hours when they finished, but you
spoke about Jose Sarr there and just how badly created that wall was. Let's forget about Dan Bentley for a second. Your thoughts being Tom King at the moment that you can't even get on the bench for this team. Imagine being the fourth choice goalie behind those three that are in front of him at the moment. I talked about it earlier. I'm flipping 5'3". I'd be knocking the manager's door if I wasn't on the bench behind it with those three, because the way that they've been playing this season, we've had episodes where we've talked about whether it should be Johnston in goal, should be Sarr in goal. I was the one pushing for Sarr to return. But the last however many games now, I don't see how he's got much option to chop it again. But you can't keep chopping and changing it, can you, Stu?
I mean, he's bought this completely on himself. I mean, you could only do... I mean, the whole thing about that interview that Johnston did, was it with Ben Foster, that interview? The only way Tom King could feel worse is if his first name was Juan. There we are. I mean, he might feel better, and it'll be a bit more enjoyable than watching that last night.
Gloves on or off, though? That's the question.
Well, it depends if you like friction or not. That's a different podcast, as we keep saying. But you look at the whole goalkeeper situation. They've brought it upon themselves. As with everything else, there was no problem. The whole Sarr to Saudi thing, that was... No one in Saudi Arabia has been linked with him. I don't know where this came from. It was like, let's put 2 and 2 together. Oh, if we're bringing in the keeper, then Sarr must be off. Why? Everything else that they do don't make any sense. Sarr had a bad end of the last season like everyone else, and he had a terrible start to this one, and yet he had a bit of a kick up the arse. But the constant nonsense about the whole thing of, why Sam Johnson made a biscuit? Why is he constantly ill? Why is he not on the bench? And then he just comes back, and then he's not on the bench again. And then we've got 2 keepers on the bench. Well, wow. And you think, well, if you've got now 2 keepers on the bench and you're Jose Sarr and you know that you're not wanted there, yet you've played well in patches and you've got back to, I mean, a guy who actually won Player of the Season in the last 4 years, by the way. And you look at it and you think, okay, I'm not wanted here. If I drop a bollock, then I'm going to be at the team. You're not going to be setting your mind, are you? And the same goes for Sam Johnson. That's why you can't have 2 number ones. It never works. They bought this on themselves. And if you do the swap, I mean, at this point, I couldn't care fucking less. It makes no difference anymore. No. Because if you bring Sam Johnson in, he's not a good keeper anyway. He might be better with his feet, but he's not a good goalkeeper in terms of actually saving shots. I mean, you can look at the stats from last season. Sarr was the best keeper in shot stopping anyway last season, even though his distribution and everything was poor. Johnson was 26th in a league of 20 keepers. So what does that say? But if people want a goalie who can pass around, then that's fine by them. But it makes no difference because you're going to be in the same situation 3 or 4 games in because he'll make mistakes because this whole fucking system of pissing about at the back. I mean, look what happened the other night with Martinez at Villa against Chelsea on Sunday. He nearly gave Nicholas Jackson a tapping by pissing about in his own penalty area. It's a disease. Let's keep goalkeepers, make goalkeepers great again. This is what we need. This could be my political statement. Just don't let them play with the ball around their own area. And then you've got half the problem eliminated. And then we can concentrate on actually doing proper goalkeeping and catching balls and punching them away, which none of our keepers can do.
It's rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, isn't it? Who plays in goal right now?
Yeah.
Pointless.
It's true.
There we are, God Struggler. Loving this channel, not heard of it before tonight. No pretense or diplomacy. Just telling it how it is. And that's
Welcome
the way
to the
we
chapel.
are.
Welcome to the chapel, God Struggler. We've talked about it briefly earlier on tonight. If Gary O'Neill is given the chop, which inevitably has to come at some point, there's been talks today about how Graham Potter is the number 1 choice for Wolves, but there's talks that he's already turned us down, as he desires the West Ham job. At West Ham have supposedly only offered him a short-term contract, which he's not keen on. The other manager is obviously linked to is David Moyes, which I not feel like there's been anyone that's really been twerking for that appointment, but it might be the sort of pragmatic appointment that Wolves need, Ed.
Yeah, it's more short-termism, isn't it? And I know with managers you can't. I mean, no one should have a 4-year contract unless you're Pep or of that ilk. No one should have a 4-year contract because all it takes is a couple of injuries and a bad run of form, and you're paying out for 4 years of a manager that. Because managers get sacked before teams get ransacked because it's easier to get rid of one bloke, isn't it? Yeah. Moyes pragmatic. I think if we were to get him, I think he'd keep us up. He'd keep it simple, and then next year we'd probably finish 12th, 13th. The year after we'd probably finish 10th, and then we'll all get bored of it and we'll start all over again. And he'll be like in his late 60s or whatever he will be at that point, and we'll all go, "No, is he too old?" And then we just start all over again with the next one, won't we? Potter's the right option, but he ain't going to come to us. The London draw of West Ham is probably going to be huge for him. They're obviously not quite in the stuck like we are, so it'll be a Moyes-esque manager, won't it, to steady the ship, to use all of those cliches. But if it's not Moyes, who else is there? I'm really struggling to think.
Yeah, the list is not bursting at the seams for the type of manager that we would like to be appointed head coach at Wolves. There's, in my opinion, naive requests for people like Sergio Conceição. Without George Mendes being involved at the club now, managers like that they're not feasible. I might be wrong. Fosun may move goalposts back to their original objectives, but I just feel like that's long gone now.
This is what I mean. I'll mention it because I think you were all thinking I was having a jape earlier when I mentioned him. But you said you look who's turned us down already. Someone's mentioned Lee Carsley there, who was interviewed last time round, and again wouldn't be necessarily a bad idea, but he ain't going to come here now, is he? Steve Cooper and his alien face. that fits perfectly well. We all that. I know someone else mentioned that. Who is there any much point? And I think O'Neill's made it untenable, like Ali said himself earlier. That as soon as he turned his back last night, that was the end. You don't come back from that. Everyone has it out for him now, other than the weirdos. So you've got to make a change anyway, regardless. You have to. But you look at someone who's worked under terrible owners, who still got promotion, and now everyone's going to say, "Oh yeah, championship." But remember when I mentioned Gyökeres a couple of years ago on here? And people mocked me again then for that. And now look at him. He's going to go 100 million Man United in the summer. Why don't we just give it to Mark Robbins? Look what he did again with that Coventry team, who steamrolled us in March, by the way, who started all this demise. Just give it him. He hasn't got. He was sacked. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not.
No, but you're using that game as an example when we had a flipping teenager up front.
He did get him to the playoff final as well.
We had a baby
exactly.
Front, wasn't even.
This is what I'm saying. I'm using that game as a point that he's already got.
But we know how big the gulf is also between the Premier League and the Championship now. I just feel like
it is, but.
If you're going to comment Michael Beale in the comment section, not knowing that he's already number 2 at Steven Gerrard in Saudi Arabia, I'm just going to block you. Over my dead body will Michael Beale get this job?
No. And not after. I mean, but this is.
And I think if Steve Cooper was appointed, I think that would be my last season season ticket holder. If Steve Cooper got the job, because if that's the direction that we're going as a club, what is the point? Well, why are we paying benchmark pricing compared to Champions League sides? To have Steve Cooper in charge.
Which sporting director said that we do have the Brighton model in place where we're looking at the next 2 or 3 managers? I'm pretty sure Hobbs or Sellers said something like that.
Matt Hobbs has come out with comments like Wolves didn't have problems with PSR because clubs that have problems with PSR are badly run clubs. Yet the previous however many transfer windows, all we've heard from Wolves in the media is that we have to cut ties with players and, streamline the side. And, we had to bring in Sam Johnson for the homegrown quota in the summer and all this bollocks. Like I said, it's only going to get worse under this ownership now.
The only thing that I think we've got going for us is the Premier League is the coaches' league, isn't it? It is where coaches want to come and flex their muscles. And there might be some way of overpaying to get someone from somewhere that wants to test his mettle in the Premier League for the rest of the season. We're kind of a no win, no fee right now, aren't we? Yeah. Everyone knows that we're a free hit. So maybe there's someone out there that wants to flex their muscles and put themselves in the shop window. That's the only thing you've got. Because if you look at the managers we have in this league, it's crazy the quality that's in this league, and that's why it's mental that we gave an unproven bloke a 4-year contract in the summer.
Danny P in the comment section. Michael Beale comes in, Dan offs himself, then Beale gets sacked and takes over the Fancast preview show. Don't take it out on me because Donald Trump runs your country, Danny. That's on you, mate, not me. Someone asked a question earlier in the comment section, which I thought was a good question, and I'll come to you on this one, Ale, to throw you under the bus yet again. How many players left in this squad stay if we get relegated?
Oh, wow. Okay.
There's a question this. I talked about us going back-to-back relegations. In numerous years, you look at your Burnleys, your Leicesters, your Norwiches, whoever. When they've got relegated, a lot of them have usually had a decent enough squad to go straight back up. I feel the majority of our squad leaves, and we will only have it's going to be just a ramshackle of academy players that are left to pick up the pieces. Maybe the likes of Tommy Doyle may stay. Just ring off some players that you think could still be here come the end of summer. Because, I mean, even players like Guedes, they're going to force a move out. Hwang ain't playing in the Championship. Let's forget about your Cunha, João Gomez, that they're 100% gone. That there's a possibility they'll be gone in January. Fosun have really got no care for this club anymore. Just ring me some players I thought you think could play for Wolves in the Championship.
Well, it's going to be, isn't it? Your Tommy Doyle, Hugo Bueno will come back, probably. He'll play. Will Santi Bueno stick around, maybe? Dawson.
Hugo Bueno was linked to Barcelona last weekend.
Yeah. Dawson probably gets another year. Semedo's off, we know that. Star's off. Oh god, Ainori would go. Andre will go.
There's your
Lemina
number
might just
9
have
for the
to
championship
stay.
season, Sasa Kalajdzic.
Big Sasha. Fabio comes back. He'll rip up the championship.
There's not a chance on
Rodrigo.
this planet that Fabio Silva plays for Wolves in the championship. He's scoring the winners at Barcelona. He ain't playing in the championship for us. He's forcing his way out. He'll go on strike to get out of this club. Because I said on our Twitter the other day, the fact that Netflix and Amazon haven't commissioned a documentary in our club with some of the stories that happen. Fabio Silva flipping scoring the winner against Barcelona because he can't get a game for Wolves. We're a joke. We're an absolute joke club.
In answer to your question, less than half that started last night. Doherty might stick around.
Captain.
Whether Lee, captain. That's about it, I would say. I don't think there's many more. I think going on to the who would take over this job. You need someone who hasn't been paying attention to what's happened to every other manager who's managed this club and who would work with Jeff Shee, who's prepared to do it.
Yeah,
and is desperate and has a reputation they need to resurrect. I think it'll be Steve Cooper. I just can't see any. He's been in the Midlands, hasn't he? Last 2 jobs. Got something to prove. It's probably the only one on such a.
If we're going down the route of they don't need to move and sell their house, then we really are scraping the barrel, aren't we?
Mark Robbins.
Harry Butler, West Ham fan. Hey kids, hope you're looking forward to the trip to London on Monday, the Al Loppy Derby. You'll love it down here. People wearing shoes, street lighting. We've got it all here. Thanks for commenting, Harry. I hope you beat us on Monday and Lopetegui stays for the rest of the season. If you're going to behave like that in our comment section, Harry. Just give me some thoughts looking towards that game on Monday, Gav, away to West Ham, because it's a game that both managers can't afford to drop points. I don't even think a win might be enough to save Gary on Monday if Folsom have got serious ambitions to keep us up this season.
I think we've lost. I think they'll win. I think West Ham, despite losing as bad as they did against Leicester, they actually should have battered them. Overall, they created enough chances in the game. Our defense is, open as anything. They will win, and I think it'll be comfortable. I think Lopetegui will probably end up sticking around for a couple more games, which will probably do us a favour. I think I put in the group chat, didn't I? If West Ham beat us, Lopetegui stays there. That only leaves one option on the table for Potter. So he either takes us or we wait a couple of months for the next job.
I thought there was a bit of stupidity in our WhatsApp group earlier. I think it may have been Dean who said that West Ham were going to lose 1-0 to Wolves with a Kilman own goal. It's a West Ham win with a Kilman goal on Monday night. This is how we roll as a club. We're just a walking circus at the moment. I don't feel we're sleepwalking to relegation. I feel like we're actively the club are actively awake to what's going on. They just don't have the courage or the know-how to get us out of it. And we'll be back on Monday. I was planning on doing a flipping live watch along for the game yesterday, but I've had tonsillitis all week. I might do a flipping watch along on Monday, but it's just one of those moments where I don't know wherever I'm coming or going with Wolves at the moment. Yeah. Still, you're not travelling to West Ham on Monday?
Oh fuck no! There's some you got to have principles somewhere, and I'll probably go to Newcastle though. When there's thing with Newcastle's about 3 hours away. 4 hours to get back, probably. But it's about the people. Even the people ain't going to get me to go to West Ham on a Monday night. It's the worst stadium in the country by a mile, in the Premier League, especially. And you look at the place and you think, it's grim, it's boring. The best view is the back of the temporary stand on top of the running track. It's the Lopetegui factor. We're shit. We're probably going to lose about 4-0. It's going to be awful. So, no, I'm not going there. But I will be watching it. If people want me to join in a little watch along with you, maybe, but I don't. No, nothing. No one in the. If people are going there, they're a bit tapped in the head, and I applaud them for it. But I'm no, not for me. Not for me, Clive.
I think we'll just play Pro Evolution live on YouTube on Monday night, Stu. Tops off. We'll have the whiskey out like old times. Thanks to everyone that's joined myself, Edge, Stu, Ali, and Gav on tonight's show. Wolves Fancast is in association with the Sports Social Podcast Network and fcQuiz.app. one big thing that I have neglected to mention earlier on today, which was even more bad news for Gary O'Neill, as you can see on the screen now. We may have to defend more set pieces because the Premier League are planning to introduce a new rule that after 8 seconds, if goalkeepers haven't released the ball, the team will concede a corner. So more devastating news for Gary O'Neill on the back of that. Guys, any positivity that we can offer the viewers on tonight's show before we close it? Ed, you first.
Mateus Cunha's a really good player. That's it.
3 Goal of the Month nominees for the Brazilian and a Player of the Month nominee for Mateus Cunha. Like I said, if it hasn't been for him in November, we would be well and truly sunk. I've just noticed I'm starting to do like a bit of an Andy Thompson where he says like say like and like say when I say certain things. I've just completely forgot you say obviously quite a lot. The drinking game with the official Wolves podcast is have a drink every time Tomo says say like or like say. What was the other one? I think I'm going to call it a night, guys, because we've been live for over an hour. Before everyone leaves, press the like button if you want Gary O'Neill to lose his job. Press the like button if you want Gary O'Neill to keep his job. Press the like button if you want Wolves to win away at West Ham on Monday. Press the like button if you think West Ham will win on Monday. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Thanks again from me, Ed, Stu, Ali, and Gav. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and forever up the Wolves.